Time is short, 10 minutes. Let's make it brief. I want to ask one simple question. There is something common amongst humanity overall in this universe that pertains, and it is actually a trouble point, a pain point for the L&D community. Can you tell me what it is? Guess. Everyone gets hungry. I'm talking at that meta level. Okay? People forget. Everyone forgets. It's natural, right? It's natural for people to forget. Just like we get hungry many times a day, people forget many things many times a day as well. Now, this is the crux of how you actually measure stuff. Okay? So, let me give you a thought. We all know that people learn differently. Only 10% of the learning that happens in a class gets retained. The rest is learned through various other means outside the class. But within the class, when we get hold of a person, you open up the fire hose and drown them with information, so much so that it gets so overwhelming, done, out. And there is a rapid escalation of that knowledge. This is a 200-year-old theory, nothing new. So let me illustrate what actually happens in practice. Traditionally, training happens face-to-face, online, in the class. When you do that, it is generally a trainer's KPI to ensure that everyone gets 80%, 70% bare minimum. So at the end of that session, that assessment is taken. Everyone measures up to 100% of the knowledge that was delivered. But what happens naturally, since people forget? This is a natural phenomenon, you can't avoid that unless you do something. It decelerates. A few months down the road, again you do it, again that deceleration. So this forgetting curve is something that we need to beat for a person to ensure that they are always ready with the information that they need to. Now imagine, for a person to be effective, it is exponential in terms of the relationship between how much they know and how effective they are. It is not linear. It doesn't mean that if I know 50% of my kind of syllabus, if I'm selling a plethora of products, I will be 50% efficient. It is not like that. It is exponential. I need to be at a particular threshold, 70, 80%, for me to feel confident and then deliver for it to be effective. If I'm below that, I myself don't feel confident, and that shows in the interactions. You will hawa niklo from the football. So what do? So you need to keep propping up the curve by daily or quite regular refreshments. But if you do this senselessly, that means if you send the same stuff to everyone, what happens? Commonly called as spam. What is spam? You are not ready for what you've received, it is spam. But the moment you are ready for it and you receive it, it is great work. So how do we know what a person needs to know sharply for that person on that day? Two dimensions, not singular. On that day, because business changes, market changes, priority changes, daily knowledge needs can differ and change. So this is how we do it. So if you are able to get a metric which is a leading indicator, it's not been happened so far yet. If you can get a metric which is a leading indicator deterministically showing performance, you hit the nail on the head, because with that metric, you can work wonders. We call it the pulse. There is an acronym, but kind of not. You have to find a sweeter acronym for it. But for now, it's exactly like the pulse. It's just like NPS, one single score, you double click, you know exactly what is wrong, where is wrong, so you can intervene correctly at that point. So pulse does the same thing. Now what is it? Simple protocol to calculate it. We can explain it on our booth or later on after the session, but it takes into account what a person remembers or remembers over a finite period of time. And this finite period of time is a rolling window. We take it 90 days. We've tested this out across a few years, and we believe 90 days aptly justifies, not beyond, because stale things you don't need to remember, and not short, because there is a practical constraint. So if you are able to measure what a person knows or doesn't know in that window, and this window is continuously shifting, now the technicalities come in, can't be done humanly, therefore needs AI, therefore needs agents, therefore needs bots. But the calculation is very simple. So numerator has the recent most right answer. If you had answered it earlier right, but now wrong, it will nullify. So if you had, so basically it says that you've forgotten that topic, because this score then goes ahead and plugs into exactly what you need to know. So this is a dynamic score. Behind me you can see that the score is shifting depending on which time horizon you are seeing. So it doesn't mean that once you are 100%, you are always 100%, I'm the gold, I'm the champion. No. If you do not perform your tasks and if you do not retain, it will drop. Just like in a video game. You make too many cannonballs which just don't hit the monster, you lose your energy. Same concept, okay? So, so this is what happens. And since we know on a daily basis where we are from a knowledge point of view, this has seen to highly correlate with performance. So behind me is a chart wherein we take the pulse scores in 4 cohorts across quarters, etc. There are a few customer accounts that have been clubbed together over here, and we've indexed it so that confidentiality is maintained, but you will get a sense of the trend with this. You can clearly see the trend. The higher the pulse score, the higher the sales output from that individual. Higher the pulse score, the higher the customer experience scores, the NPS from that individual. I will ask my partner in crime here, Fazail from Bajaj Auto, one of our esteemed customers, who put in a very, very solid best practice. Transformation doesn't work by just throwing tech at it. You need tech as well as processes and best practices to it. Let him talk a little bit about it, and there we go.
Thank you, Jawahar. I hope I'm audible to all of you. So as Jawahar said that, we have started this pulse score, and we have been using the Streamz app for around 3 years, and we are using it in our various verticals. So this pulse is a very good indicator of our performance, right? And we have seen clear correlation between pulse and performance. It is very difficult in training and development. I've been in this field for 17, 18 years to show to the business, right, that we have an indicator that the training and the amount of training energy that we are spending, the budgets we are spending on it, it is of use, right? So this is a clear metric which shows that whenever the pulse score is higher, those dealers, those showrooms, those individuals, those area managers, those geographies, they perform better. And we have seen the trend all across, right? So if a dealer or a area manager is having a lower pulse score in one quarter, and in further quarters the pulse score improves, then we always see that their performance has also shown a clear correlation. And this is why, because we don't have a standard questions for everyone. Normally what happens in most of the quizzes is that the whole universe gets the same question. This is based on AI. So to improve the pulse score, you have to improve where you are weak, right? Then only your pulse score will improve, because the AI pushes those questions where you have, on those topics where you had answered wrongly, right? So the pulse score improves when you will improve your weak areas, and that shows in the performance. So this is an indicative graphs of how the performance has been of dealers and showrooms who have better pulse, right? So you can clearly see that we have a clear correlation, and the pulse is a great indicator for all of us. And because of that, not only in the sales performance, even in the NPS, right? This is an indicator of how the NPS moves with pulse score. We can see that dealers with lower NPS have lower pulse score, and lower pulse score have lower NPS, and dealers with higher pulse score have higher NPS. So the two major matrices that any company wants, the customer satisfaction and the business sales performances, we can see that pulse is a clear indicator for that. And because of that, it is a major KPIs for all our area sales managers all across India. It is one of their important KPIs, and everyone is driving it, because as training department, we can get success only when the field and the sales team supports us. So we get good support from our area manager, and that being a KPI helps them. It is a KPI for the dealers also, for the individuals, salespeople as well. And of course, for me, it is one of the top KPIs that I have to drive, right? So that is it from my side, and I would now give it back to Jawahar. Thank you, Jawahar.
So just a few seconds more, one slide which I wanted to draw to your attention. Very recently, we've been getting recognized globally on this invention particularly, as well as few other things that we have been at it in terms of transforming traditional training content into, I would not call it bite size. People get tempted about bite size, but short format content which can be structured and married with instructional design to give bingeable, long duration of training on short format content. So don't assume that short format content is always bite size and you can only do summary, only do flashcards. No, there is something new that is possible with some tech and with some enablers. So there is a lot of innovation that we have been able to deliver and do, not just this metric, but this metric was extremely important for us to know what to send to whom, otherwise it gets spam, right? And that's where most of these innovation awards have come our way. And if you want to know more of any of this, join the bandwagon of the innovators in your industry, come find us just outside booth C4. Thank you.